Good morning, I got a haircut, yeah! Good morning to you. Today, I know it's been a little while, but there is a really good excuse. I messed up trimming my beard and I had to shave it all off, and there is no way in any universe you lot get to see me looking like a chubby 12-year-old hairless monkey. So, here we are. Ooh. Today, we are going on another English heritage trip to St. Augustine's Abbey, which, from reading up on the English Heritage website, is the, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the symbol of the rebirth of Christianity in southern England. So we're going to go and check it out. It is a bit ruinous, but it makes for interesting stuff from the air. Let's go. All right, here we are inside St. Augustine's Abbey. I'm really enjoying these English heritage tours because signing up for that membership has given access to so many places, things that I wouldn't ordinarily have visited, much to my shame. But let's have a look around, see what fun and interesting things we can learn, and yeah, let's get to it. All right, you can see in front of us, this is the Abbey. Definitely seen better days, but parts of it are still standing, which is a bonus for us. So here we go. In AD 597, an Italian monk called Augustine came here to bring Christianity to the English. Up until this time, the English people worshipped ancient pagan gods. Pope Gregory I, who had been moved by the sight of pagan English children being sold into a slave market, sent Augustine to convert the English to Christianity. There we go. What a plague of heathens we once were. When Augustine arrived on the Isle of Thanet, which is not too far from here, about 15 miles from here, he was welcomed by Ethelbert, Anglo-Saxon king of Kent, and his wife, Queen Bertha. Bertha was already a Christian, and it was probably her influence that encouraged Ethelbert to support Augustine's cause. Ethelbert gave Augustine two sites on which to establish his churches. One was here, where the church was dedicated to St. Peter and St. Paul. The other site lay within the city walls, where the church was dedicated to Christ, and this became Canterbury Cathedral. So all this history on my doorstep and at my fingertips. And, you know, as you can see today, the weather is beautiful. So, perfect day for a little historical outing, educational trip, and all-around good time. Let's walk among the ruins. We have a large pole. Wow. I think this place is going to look really good from the air as well. Right, what have we here? Augustine's original church and later additions to it were destroyed by the Normans, who built a much larger church here. I am currently standing in its nave. To the left, a piece of its inner wall and part of a tower still stand. There we are. Most interesting. Augustine founded the first church here soon after AD 597. Later generations of Anglo-Saxon monks valued it because of its age and link to St. Augustine. They preserved his church and built two other churches to its east. And after the Normans invaded England in 1066, French monks took control of most English abbeys. Between 1072 and around 1100, they almost completely destroyed the Anglo-Saxon churches here and built a grand Romanesque church. They did the same to Christ Church, the other church built by St. Augustine inside the city walls. So far, this is my favourite place on the English Heritage Tour. Much better than Richborough. Yeah. So we've got this part here of the grounds that's been roped off. And I don't even know what this could have been. My first thought was a stable, but it's probably not. Let's have a look. Yes. Your guess is as good as mine, folks. We're going to read the plaque. So it turns out, folks, I was way off with the stables. This is actually the site of the tombs of kings and archbishops. Well, there we go. You can see the headstone still in there. Shows what I know. Alright, we've just stumbled across the site of the grave of St. Augustine himself, the first ever Archbishop of Canterbury. That is extremely significant, folks. So I'm not sure what down here would have been, but probably a party room because somebody's left their Pringles. Let's have a walk around. Now this little area that we're standing in now is called the Porticus of St. Martin. And this marks the site of a room which opened off to the south side of Augustine's first church. It was built soon after AD 597 and housed the tombs of the early Anglo-Saxon kings of Kent, including King Ethelbert, who gave Augustine this land. I should have been a history teacher, folks. I can read stuff off plaques. Right, and here we have what is called a rood screen. It called me fat. This stone base supported a wooden screen that stretched across the nave to divide the monks from the non-clergy members. Ooh. This, what I'm standing in now, is the chapel of St. Anne. 2 more grave sites here. Don't really like walking over them, so let's get out. All right, these 4 blocks are the graves of the early Anglo-Saxon kings. So let's see who we have here. I'm never going to try and say that, but it is Anglo-Saxon king number 1. Maybe it'll say here on this plaque. Here we go. 3 Anglo-Saxon kings of Kent. Eadbald, Wihtred, and a third one. Okay, this chapel behind me has sort of like a half moon, semicircle shape, and this was the chapel of St. John the Baptist. Was a very small worship room. All right, gonna head down now, and then we're gonna head into this lower ground level floor. Not quite sure what that is, but it looks interesting. Let's press on. So right now I'm standing inside the chapel. This is the chapel of the Virgin Mary, and it's sort of the front piece of the main crypt. This is the main crypt of the Abbey. This site was used by the monks for burial and ritual prayer. And you can see around me, you have all the columns. You can see where they would have stood. So this, to be preserved this well, some 1500 years later, is nothing short of amazing. And there we are, the chapel of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Do you say blessed or blessed? I say blessed. You can still see the detail on the tiles inside the chapel. All right, I think it's time I make my way out of the crypt and let's explore the rest of the grounds, see what this place has to offer. So this area here is called Wulfric's Rotunda. In the 7th century, a church dedicated to St. Mary was built to the east of Augustine's original church. Abbot Wulfric, one of the last Anglo-Saxon abbots at the monastery, added this circular building known as a rotunda to join the two together, probably in the 1050s. So this rotunda in here is likely to have been about 3 stories high, but it's unknown whether it was ever finished or how it would have ever been used. So we can all speculate. So this area in front of me here that looks like a garden is the Abbey's Cloister, and this was used as one of the main centres for book production in medieval England, which makes a lot of sense because I can always remember from school the tale of St. Augustine, the go forth and read tale. So being in St. Augustine's Abbey and it being one of the main centres of book production in England, it all adds up. So this is the reading corner. I don't know if that's true, I just made it up. Might have been a toilet actually. See, get a newspaper, fresh off the press, do your business. Looks like I was wrong again, because this is the Lavatorium, an octagonal building which held a basin and fountain where the monks washed their hands before going for their meals. So a typical meal in this refectory for the monks would have consisted of bread and vegetable broth, sometimes fish, and for a very special treat, maybe once in a while, they'd be allowed some meat. So bread, veggies and fish in absolute silence. What's not to like? And this is where the monks played football. Folks, that's 3 for 3, me getting it wrong. So under this field where I thought the monks played football is actually the infirmary where they would take the sick and elderly members of the community to be cared for. And now we've found the actual toilet. This place really had everything. It's high society. This area here is just above the Chapel of the Virgin Mary, and this chapel was used for special performances of masses in honour of the Virgin Mary. This one was first built in the 14th century to replace a lady chapel in the crypt. It was rebuilt around 1500 and the foundations of both places are still visible. Lots and lots of crypts and death in this abbey. So we have another red brick structure here, which is indicative of the Romans building it. And this is the entrance to St. Panchris Church. So I'm standing inside what is left of St. Panchris Church, which is the only surviving Anglo-Saxon church, which was built by the Romans in the 7th century, as you can tell by the red bricks behind me. Now, because this stood separate from all the other buildings in the abbey, it actually survived the Norman raid, so that's why it's still standing. Well, as much of it as you can see is still standing. All right, I'm going to hazard a guess. Just let my imagination run wild and say this is a confessional booth, because why not? There we are, a surviving Anglo-Saxon church. Amazing. Looks really nice with the blue in the background where the window would have been. Here we are, top of the hill, top of the world. There's the Abbey from up here. All right, we are very near the end of the tour now. There's just one more plaque that I'd like to read, but it's occupied by the tour guide. You see in the distance there, you can see just behind the Abbey is Canterbury Cathedral. It's also undergoing some maintenance. Let's carry on and then we'll take the drone up. Yay! Yeah, there we are, definitely the end. In 1538, Henry VIII closed the abbey, bringing to an end over 9 centuries of monastic life on the site, and a royal palace was built and a fine garden laid out. Man, that guy, not a nice man. In the 1530s, Henry VIII seized control over the church in England from the Pope. He used his takeover as an opportunity to close all the monasteries and seize their vast estates. And St. Augustine was not spared. On the 30th of July 1538, the last abbot, John Essex, surrendered the abbey and its property to the crown. Buildings were torn down, stone was sold off, and the sacred shrines were broken up for their precious metal. I guess greed doesn't really have any limits, does it? Okay, I think that's enough out of me. Gonna find a quiet spot to bring the drone up, and we'll have a look at this place from the air.
Welcome to St. Augustine's Abbey. Little remains of St. Augustine's today, but at its height, the Abbey was one of the most significant religious sites in medieval England. The 6th century home of a mission to convert the Anglo-Saxons would grow to become an important centre of learning and spirituality that lasted for centuries. The Abbey was founded in 598 AD after St. Augustine arrived in Kent on a mission to convert the pagan Anglo-Saxons to Christianity. Within 100 years, the work begun by Augustine had converted the whole of England, and the abbey that bore his name was the heart of English Christianity. St. Augustine's developed over the centuries into a great Romanesque abbey, one of the grandest and most influential in Europe. However, this power and prominence was not to last. The suppression of the monasteries under Henry VIII saw much of the once great abbey destroyed. In its later years, St. Augustine became the site of a royal palace, a poorhouse, a jail, and a school. The abbey now forms part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its great importance to the history of Christianity in England.
All right, there you have it, folks. That was St. Augustine's Abbey. I would just like to take this moment to say that on my Ko-fi page there is now a gallery that's available that offers high resolution downloads of my photos. So if you were interested in printing them or ordering from an online printing company, that would be the best way to do it, is to get the high-res download and send that file off. I really hope you enjoy the photos. It's certainly something that I love doing, but I am going to love you and leave you there. That was okay. Go away. Okay, seriously. This one has been my favourite visit so far of the English Heritage Tour. I'm not sure where we're visiting next because I still haven't received a membership program pack, but there's plenty of exploring to be done. So have a lovely weekend, you beautiful lot, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Love you lots. Bye.